Hey everyone, it's Patrick, and today I'm going to be teaching you a little bit about Nate Silver. This presentation was done by the Razzle Dazzle power duo, Patrick Keane and Akash Shah, and thank you for joining us today. So I think first and foremost, we need to take a second to admire Nate Silver for his full beauty and full excellence in the sports and statistics world. He would be revolutionary in developing political statistics, and I think you just need to be aware of who he is so that you can have a better appreciation for him. A little bit about Nate Silver. He was born as Nathaniel Reed Silver on January 13th, 1978 in beautiful East Lansing, Michigan. His family described him as proficient at math at a young age and that he most loved applying numbers to baseball. He fell in love with baseball most when the Detroit Tigers won the 1984 World Series. He would later graduate from the University of Chicago with a bachelor's in economics in the year 2000. Now, a little bit about his first development, the PECOTA system. This stands for Player Empirical Comparison and Optimization Test Algorithm, and it was a very revolutionary way for statistic analysis to be able to predict a future player's performance based on other similar players. For example, it would take a player who was batting 300 and compare him to past players who had also batted the same average 300. It would then extrapolate data based on those past performances and was much more reliable than current systems. And you might be asking, how does this apply to the real world? Well, baseball teams began to reevaluate prospects and team rosters in ways like never before. Because a player's future could be more accurately predicted statistically, player values greatly changed, and baseball took a big swing towards incorporating statistics into everyday game. This was sort of a statistics revolution, and we even see in baseball today that many teams are more focused on statistics than ever before. After Nate Silver developed the PECOTA system, he would sell it to Baseball Prospectus and begin his career there, where he started with sports writing and analysis. He became the VP of Baseball Prospectus and also co-authored a few books while he was there, including Mind Game, How the Boston Red Sox Got Smart, and It Ain't Over Till It's Over, the Baseball Prospectus Pennant Race book. And at this time, he was also being recognized by many larger syndications, such as ESPN.com, Sports Illustrated, and the New York Times. Now, he realized that he had the potential to do something more than just sports analysis, and he realized that he could bring his statistical prowess into politics. At this time, he also wanted to engage with a larger, broader audience and thought that politics could be the perfect way to do so. He was also largely displeased with politics at the time, calling them unsophisticated and jumbled. This new interest and desire to provide the public with political knowledge would then lead to his biggest creation. And that creation would be his blog, 538. It began in March 28, 2008, as a personal place for Nate Silver to share his thoughts, as well as real, raw data and analysis, and it drew its name from the number of electors in the United States Electoral College. Even though this only started in early 2008, its biggest moment and chance to rise to fame would only occur a few months later during the 2008 presidential election. Now, in this election, Silver had developed a system and method for tracking polls and forecasting elections and predictions for all 50 states. In the end, 538 accurately predicted the outcome of 49 of the 50 states, not including Indiana, as well as perfectly predicting the outcome of every Senate race, and this was amazing and revolutionary. The blog's success during primaries and general elections led the site's analysis to being featured on ABC, NBC, and even the BBC. This is where Nate Silver's career in the large political world really took off. Now, in the aftermath of the election, Nate Silver unfortunately had to leave the worlds of sports statistics. His calling to the political world was too demanding, and he could not ignore it any longer. However, he still enjoyed sports statistics a lot. In 2009, ESPN introduced the new Soccer Power Index, which was actually designed by Nate Silver himself and was used to help predict the outcome of the 2010 FIFA World Cup to scary accuracy. Silver would actually end up killing this system originally, though, because he did not believe it was revolutionary enough and that he had put his best work into it. In 2010, 538, Nate Silver's political blog, would relaunch with the New York Times as an almost purely political analysis website. This connection to the New York Times helped 538 rise to fame, and it was estimated that by the end of 2014, the blog was receiving millions of views per week. However, his license to work with the New York Times would end in 2014, and Silver decided not to renew with the organization. He believed that his time at the New York Times was up, and that his biggest and best things were yet to come, and they could even happen outside of politics. But before we jump to post-2014, we need to talk about the 2012 presidential election. Now, 538 already had a legendary history for its accuracy during the 2008 presidential election, but this election cycle would only help further cement 538's legacy. Silver was able to successfully predict all 50 states, including Washington, D.C., and miraculously predicted all 9 of the swing states. Other reputable news sites, such as ABC and Rossman Reports, only predicted 2 and 3 of the presidential swing states correctly. 538 had managed to silence and vanquish most of the haters and naysayers who doubted Nate Silver's ability to predict with such accurate results and his undeniably amazing talent. And outside of just being a great statistician, Nate Silver was never one to back down from a fight or a joke. In 2012, MSNBC's Joe Scarborough was attacking Silver repeatedly for what he called biased and unreputable predictions. Silver then responded by offering a $1,000 wager that he could be perfect in the cycle. The New York Times, his current employer, was not happy at this lack of partisanship that Silver was displaying, and they gave him a little slap on the wrist for it. Scarborough would kind of end up apologizing after Silver delivered perfect, but he would never admit defeat. Now, back to post-2014 after Silver left the New York Times. It was only 6 years after a site was created, but 538 had gained great reputation in the news world, and Silver decided to partner with ESPN.com to further expand their coverage. Now, instead of just covering politics and occasional sports, 538 would regularly cover politics, economics, science, health and life, and sports. Along with this, they also had many graphic artists who helped them work in with data visualization, computer programming, and data-literate reporting. The information that Nate Silver was predicting became much more interactive and accessible for the general public. Now fast forward to the 2016 elections. Now if you think even 538.com could have accurately predicted what would happen in this election, well, your expectations are way too high. Even Nate Silver didn't get everything right. But in all fairness, he wasn't as wrong as many other organizations. Unlike ABC and CBS, which both gave Hillary Clinton over a 90% chance to win, 538 ended with Donald Trump having a 29% chance to win. And earlier polls even had that number as high as 36%. So even when Nate Silver was wrong, he ended up being the least wrong. Well, I mean, you did try. But all this success has not come without some fair amount of criticism. Many of his critics center around the fact that he has a large lack of transparency in his work. He's unwilling to share his secrets and methods to success, which is what's expected when you're the king of stats. But without the published code and method for how he makes his predictions, many large-scale news organizations are still limited in their ability to make the most accurate predictions, nor can his process be reviewed in any peer journal. But on a happier note, you should also maybe check out 538.com sometime or read Nate Silver's book, The Signal and the Noise. His website publishes new information every day, ranging from politics, sports, science and health, economics, and culture. And there's also lots of interesting interactives that help you learn about politics. In his book, The Signal and the Noise, gives lots of information into how he built his success and his methods for making such accurate predictions. But even on a happier note, let's look at some of his greatest accomplishments. In November of 2008, Crain Chicago Business profiled Silver as one of Chicago's 40 under 40 notable young entrepreneurs. In 2009, Silver was named one of the world's 100 most influential people by Time magazine. In 2012, Rolling Stone named Silver one of its game changers of 2012. And another cool thing about Silver was that he was an amateur poker player. He described himself as winning a fair amount of money, but a friend would later disclose that that fair amount turned out to be almost $400,000 in winnings in 3 years, which makes sense because of his great statistical background and economic background. He also has called himself a self-proclaimed fantasy baseball god, because of course he would be. There's no way he could develop the system that everyone relies on and not be good at the game. So, yeah, that's Nate Silver for you. Whether it was developing a pretty revolutionary baseball sabermetric system to cracking the code on how to perfectly predict most normal elections, Nate Silver has a pretty decent career and has been pretty influential in many of our current cultural domains. I want to thank you guys for listening to this presentation. I know, Mr. Gregorich, you love Nate Silver, so I'm sorry if I let you down with this presentation, but I hope you all enjoyed it, and have a great day.